Alright, boys and girls, we have to talk about the Oscar nominations for 2025. They have officially been announced, and we're going to recap the nominations for the major categories, and we're going to talk about possible snubs, biggest surprises, and we're going to kind of break down these ones. So, starting off with Best Picture, we've got Anora, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Amelia Perez, I'm Still Here, Nickel Boys, The Substance, and Wicked. I have many thoughts on this list. The first being, the few days after these nominations came out, the biggest complaint that I saw on the internet was that challengers didn't get nominated for anything, but specifically for Best Score and Best Picture. I say this with patience and kindness and all the love in the world. Challengers was nowhere close to being on this list. If we replace the most hated movie on this list, Amelia Perez, the next options are Sing Sing, I Saw the TV Glow, and Here. You could replace 3 films on this list, and Challengers still isn't even next up, or next up. The plot was so underdeveloped and hollow. Second of all, it was not as good as the general public seems to think, which is why the general public doesn't get a say in these awards, because no. Second of all, a lot of people were questioning Wicked's inclusion on this list, and it's going to make me violent. Movie musicals are 3 times harder to make than any other genre of film. Because you're not just dealing with acting and telling a story, you're telling a story through song and dance, so the actors have to be able to sing and dance, and you're also staging and an ensemble. And they're 10 times harder to make financially successful because the general public doesn't like or respect musicals. So if you can make a good movie musical that transcends theater kids, it absolutely deserves recognition. Now, what pisses me off is that the Academy fucking hates musicals. And they broke Wicked into 2 parts, so they also hate multi-part franchises or films. So the likelihood that Wicked gets any recognition this time around is like 0%. The likelihood that it gets recognition next year when Part 2 comes out and it's officially completed is only slightly higher. Which brings us to my third gripe. Dune Part 2 is most definitely not winning anything because Dennis got greenlit for Dune Messiah, which means the franchise is going to have 3 films, which means they're going to Return of the King it, and it's not going to get any of the awards it rightfully deserves until after the 3rd movie is out. I thought it was bullshit when they did it with Lord of the Rings, and it's bullshit now that they're doing it with Dune, because not only do they hate franchises, musicals, horror films, romantic comedies, but they also hate just genre films. And Dune is fantasy and science fiction at its best, which means the Academy does not appreciate it. They think if you make money, if it's a financially successful film, it can't possibly be a good film because the general public liked it, and the general public doesn't understand good movie making, and that's just a bullshit lie. The Academy is just full of its fucking self. Anyway, I think The Brutalist is going to take this one. Off this short list, I would personally like to see The Substance or Nickel Boys win. I think both are a long shot. The Substance's nominations alone are a miracle because, like I said, the Academy hates horror movies, specifically body horror. But I think Nickel Boys is the most Academy-approved one on this list that I would like to see win. I think it's going to be between Conclave and The Brutalist. People are like worried Amelia Perez is going to take it, but 1 foreign film has won Best Picture in the last 96 years, and only 10 musicals have done it in 96 years, so the statistics are not in your favor. I don't think Amelia Perez is going to take it. I didn't hate Amelia Perez as much as everyone seems to, but that said, I also don't think it deserves any of the Oscars it was nominated for. Every single movie in every category it's nominated in there are better options. Best Director, Amelia Perez. Sean Baker for Anora. Brady Corbett for The Brutalist. We have our obligatory woman director nomination that there's no way they're actually going to give to her, with Corey Lee for The Substance and James Mangold for A Complete Unknown. The fact that she got nominated for a horror film is an accomplishment in itself, but a literal handful of women have won this category in the last 96 years, and occasionally they're nominated, but there's no way that they're going to win. And we as women film fans understand that, but it sucks because there are quite a few times where women have been nominated in the same category as the men, and they absolutely deserve the win, but they don't get it. It's fine. It's how the Academy works. It is what it is. I hate it. It sucks. I think the only competition The Substance really has in this category is Brady Corbet for The Brutalist. But I think she deserves it. It is what it is. And then we have Best Actor, Adrien Brody for The Brutalist, Timothée Chalamet for A Complete Unknown, Coleman Domingo for Sing Sing, Ralph Fiennes for Conclave, and Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice. It is amazing how both Sebastian Stan and Timothée Chalamet were both nominated for the wrong films. Let's be clear, they both deserve their nominations, just not for the movies they were nominated for. Sebastian Stan absolutely deserved it for A Different Man, and Chalamet absolutely deserved it for Dune Part 2. I don't think it matters. I think Adrien Brody or Ralph are running away with this one. I just find it hilarious that two actors in the same category were nominated for the other film that they were in when they deserved it for the main film they were in. It's fine. The Academy was on some shit this year. Best Actress, Cynthia Erivo for Wicked. Thank you. Carlos Sofia for Emilia Perez. Mikey Madison for Anora. Demi Moore for The Substance. And Fernanda Torres for I'm Still Here. I could not be happier for Cynthia Erivo and Demi Moore, who are both my personal picks for this category. However, I think the win is going to Torres, and that's fine. This is arguably the tightest category. I think Best Actress is, you say what you want about Emilia Perez, but the cast was great. They did fantastic with what they were given. Get over it. I think this is one of the tightest categories, and I would really like to see it go to Cynthia or Demi. But Fernanda Torres was also fantastic, so honestly, I will not be disappointed no matter what happens in that category. Best Supporting Actor, Yura for Anora, Kieran Culkin for A Real Pain, Edward Norton for A Complete Unknown, Guy Pearce for The Brutalist, and Jeremy Strong for The Apprentice. I love seeing Kieran Culkin win the Golden Globe for this category, and I'm personally hoping that he walks away with the Oscar as well. And I think this category is pretty open. I don't see a clear front runner. I think it's very possible that Culkin could walk away with this one. I don't see any of the governing bodies leaning one way or the other on this one. Then we have Best Supporting Actress, Monica Barbaro. I can talk today, can you tell? Monica Barbaro for A Complete Unknown, Ariana Grande for Wicked, Felicity Jones for The Brutalist, Isabella Rossellini for Conclave, and Zoe Saldana for Emilia Perez. Now, Isabella Rossellini snuck in here on name recognition alone. I'm sorry, but she was in 30 seconds of Conclave. Supporting actress is a huge fucking stretch. I hope and think Zoe is going to take this. Say what you want about Emilia Perez, but Saldana was phenomenal, and she deserves her flowers. This is an overdue award. I love that Ariana Grande got her nomination. She really did surprise me with her performance in Wicked. She was incredible. So again, not going to be super disappointed with anything that happens in this category, but I'm really pulling for Zoe Saldana on this one. Original Screenplay. The screenplay categories, the ones that are the most important to me personally. Original Screenplay, Anora, The Brutalist, A Real Pain, September 5, and The Substance. Okay, I need The Substance to take this. There simply was not a better written original film this year. It was so expertly written. I need this film to be recognized. I simply will not be acknowledging anything else. This has to go to The Substance. Adapted Screenplay. Conclave, A Complete Unknown, Amelia Perez, Nickel Boys, and Sing Sing. Okay, this category is much more difficult, but I think the only correct contenders are Sing Sing, Nickel Boys, and Conclave. I am personally rooting for Nickel Boys. I think they're going to give it to Conclave. There's been a lot of critical reaction to Conclave. Lots of people loved it, as they should. It was a very good movie, but I think, God, Nickel Boys just did something. Nickel Boys was the most impactful film of the year, and I think that goes down to two things: its writing and its cinematography, and those things need to be recognized. Animated feature is the tightest category that I have ever seen. Flow, Inside Out 2, The Wild Robot, Memoir of a Snail, and Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance of Us Fowl. It was an incredible year for animated films. There's no wrong answer here. Every single one of these is poignant and beautiful, incredibly written and acted. I'm personally partial to The Wild Robot, but there's really not an incorrect choice. Whatever happens here, I'm happy with. Now, we get into the more technical awards, which are equally as impressive and important, but they're less interesting to talk about. I'm so sorry. That said, there are a few I feel extremely strongly about, like production and design and cinematography, so we are going to go into detail for those. Production design nominations were The Brutalist, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Nosferatu, and Wicked. I swear to Hera, Zeus, and Jesus Christ, if Dune Part 2 does not win these fucking technical awards, I'm going to flip a fucking table. I will set up a table just to flip it. Acceptable other winners are Wicked and Wicked. But production design and cinematography, out of what is nominated, it's not even fucking close. It's Dune Part 2. It is Dune Part 2. Are we hearing me? Am I being very clear? It's Dune fucking Part fucking 2. Okay. Cinematography, The Brutalist, Dune Part 2, Amelia Perez, Maria, Nosferatu. The technical award leaders are Dune Part 2, Wicked, and Nosferatu, all rightfully so. The only real snub this year is for Nickel Boys. And for really every category, because every single aspect of that film should have been nominated, but especially for cinematography. It was the most unique and story-driven camera work, not only of the year, but that I have ever seen, and its absence on the cinematography nominations list is honestly shocking. That said, Dune Part 2 doesn't have any competition in this category. The Academy hates genre films, so I can see it going to Nosferatu or The Brutalist, but it belongs to Dune Part 2. Overall, it was not an egregious year for Oscar nominations. I did not hate Amelia Perez, but I think it was outdone in nearly every single category. The only thing that I'm giving it is Saldana. Zoe Saldana is absolutely worthy of that award. I don't actually see it winning many Oscars, and then if we do, we can talk about that as a problem, because it is, and we'll talk about the industry issues that lead to that, but it simply was not the best at anything, and I'm not going to sit here and rail against it super hard until I have to. So, if it wins the awards, we'll talk about why that's an issue, but historically speaking, based on Academy statistics, I really don't think we have anything to worry about there.